Are we live? I'm just checking. Did we make
We
it?
almost lost track of time because we were talking backstage and forgot to start.
I didn't forget to start. I just didn't start.
I forgot.
I'm just there doing my thing. You know what I'm saying? What's going on, everybody? And welcome to this week's show. We got a lot to talk about. Shane, I'm really happy I was able to get Cover Price to get me the list at 5:30 today. So I was like, oh, I got the list. And that meant we could start a little earlier. So
did you send them a politely worded email?
Nah, because I sent them another politely worded email because we do have some stuff coming up in the future that I can't share at the moment, but be on the lookout. It's gonna be intense. I'll share with you backstage, but I'm sure the group here is like, it's out now, but I can't really share. But I want to make sure that everything's squared away.
Right? Yeah, it's understandable.
So let's go ahead and say what's up to the guys in the chat, starting with Las Cruces. Now, Las Cruces did put something out earlier. It just StreamYard has this tendency of like deleting things, but we got a woohoo from 4:17, and then he came back at 5:27 to say, now we're gonna change this. We're gonna say buenos dias from Nuevo Mexico. I want to see if that's gonna start. We're gonna start that trend up, right? And then you got an issue with your logo going on, so you're having logo problems.
It's showing up right in the chat, but on my end, it's not for some reason.
I see it. And J-Man stopped by for a few seconds, say, hey, I can't stay. Just saying hello. What's going on, J-Man? And there you are saying hello right back. And we got Rapscallion from TM Nerdy. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. I don't know if there's some special message behind it. It must be something that's going on up in the hills and upper Canadian town or something like that. Is there something up there? Is Rapscallion a thing?
I'm not sure.
Okay, just double checking. We got, there you go, saying hi. There it goes again, hashtag Rapscallions. And Las Cruces is pointing out something. Yes. We are almost at 9,000. I think last I checked, it's about 50 away from 9,000. Thank you so much.
Could be 9,000 already.
It could be. I don't know about that. No, we are 48 away from 9,000. So I really do appreciate everybody who's been subscribing. The channel has been blowing up. There's a lot of work on my end to kind of get the word out, but I'm really happy. I think it has lots to do with the new format. You're part of that success, so I'm really happy for it. So we will.
I appreciate it. All of the work comes across. Like you can tell you're putting in the time with all of the stuff that you're doing. So I'm not gonna do a 9,000 subscriber giveaway. I'm gonna wait to 10,000. That's my goal. My goal is for 10,000, and I promise you, if I hit 10,000, it's gonna be a good one. I promise it's gonna be a really good by the end of March for sure. I think.
Yeah, let's see. So we got JSS Brooklyn. What's going on? Take off, you hoser.
That's a Canadian thing.
Okay, now explain.
So it's just below there. I just typed in. It used to be a skit and a show with Bob and Doug McKenzie, and it's just that's what they said. Oh, take off, eh? Take off, you hoser.
Okay. Kenneth Bird's in the house. What's going on, Kenneth Bird? And there it is. Buenos dias de Nuevo Mexico. I love it. I love it. I love it. I know you will make 10,000 subscribe yourself. Yes, we will try to help you too. Thank you so much, Kenneth. Like I said, that's my goal. My goal is to hit that 10K mark by the springtime. I think it's going to happen. There's a lot of good stuff happening where we could get the word out, the shows. And again, I'm going to do a nice big 10K subscriber giveaway. It's going to be a massive one. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun show. It's going to be an open hangout type of thing where we'll do it. So it's time to talk about new comics. It's time to talk about what's trending this week. I love this list, Shane. I really do. This list is a good one. So let's take a look at the Comic Heat Index. is the final week of February. Would you believe that? We're already 2 months into the new year.
Can't believe it. It's this February I found has gone really fast.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's the shortest month of the year, so you would assume if we go short, it would go fast, wouldn't it? It's missing a couple of days here and there, but
yeah,
we got March 1st coming in this Saturday, so I'm looking forward to doing something on March 1st. I don't know what, but we'll talk a little bit about what we got plans for next week. But let's take a look at these top 4 books that we have here, and what can you tell me based off of these 4 images right now?
Got some new and some not so new.
And some unknowns too, right?
Yeah.
Right. So we got something that just came out. We got 2 books in this list that not a lot of people know about. And we got a classic story that's coming out. And that's just 4 of the top 10 of this week. I think it's good. I think this week's a banger. But before we even show you what's number 10, Nerdy Geeks in the house. So you know this show's going to be great because Nerdy Geeks in the house. All right. Let's start off the list with a bang. Fantastic Four 48. This came out in 1966 for Marvel Comics. Last recorded sale was $233 for a raw. Fair market value of this book is $788 for very good, at $1,158 for a 4.5. And those are the most common sales. That's on average. This came out at number 5 in CBSI. Sales volume of this book's at 48%, and the hype level is at a high because we are getting ready for some Fantastic Four goodness. We saw 49 on this list. Now we're seeing 48. What can you tell me?
Well, I mean, the hype from the trailer, Captain America came out. It's, it's okay. It's not super bad, which, if you believe like the Rotten Tomatoes scores, critics don't like it so much, but everybody's going to watch it. And so that's building some more momentum for this Fantastic Four. And I'm looking forward to it too. So that's where this hype from this book comes from.
Yeah, and this book has, first of all, the coming of Galactus. It just has that, something's coming, and everybody's shocked. You can see everyone in the image there. You got the Fantastic Four, they look frightened. People don't know who the Watcher is at this point. He's not a popular character, but there's something about him that makes him, like he's a presence, right? A big baby. Never understood that. His head just kept getting bigger. Yeah. I noticed, but this is an all-time classic. 49, I probably will say, is the best cover out of the 3 books. But this is the start of this arc that they have with the coming of Galactus. You know it's gonna be good. So that's what's so great about it. All right, that's number 10. Number 9. Geiger number 10 is the second printing. This is the Gary Frank second printing that's featuring in the cover The Glowing Woman. This book just came out 2025 for Image Comics. This book's at $12 near mint. That was the last sale, and that's also the fair market value of this book. 9.8s are already going for about $60. It's number 7 in CBSI, and it came in as number 1 in cover price. The only reason why it's number 9 is because sales volume is not as high at 49%. And I have to say that the hype level is at a medium. I don't think it's super hype. I even will be surprised if it's in the list next week.
Yeah, this is the Ghost Machine universe has been great. This is probably one of the best reads that's ongoing. Like Rook Exodus is really good, but it's on a little bit of a break. And this is essentially the last page from this issue with just a little bit different coloring on it. And then her full first appearance is in issue 11 because I've read both of them. But it could be a really fun character. 11 was a great read. And, this is just a really cool looking cover.
I think we might have lost Shane for a second.
Oh,
or it could be me. You're back, but your screen is okay. Now we're back. Let's rewind a little bit. We could cut this in post. That's the nice part, right? Before we even go there, I gotta say what's up to my boy Random Reed. Your package is going to be on its way this week, so be on the lookout for that random. I'll tell you when it comes in, Kevin. All right, rewind as we do. Tell me a little bit about this book.
Yeah, this is a good one, I think, because this is the same image that's pulled from the last page of this issue with just a little bit different coloring. It's a fun cover. Ghost Machine Universe, great read. So, yeah, I can see why this is on the list for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and, who doesn't like the legs? Just saying. Right. So what's the importance of the glowing woman? Why is she such an important character that she's demanding this attention right now?
Well, that's what the story is building towards. So at the end of issue 10, it's just a cameo. Then issue 11, there's more of her story in that. But we're still figuring that out. You kind of get a little bit of clue of who the character is. I won't do any spoilers, but it's really just building towards more stuff in issue 12 and beyond. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. Mm-hmm. Supposedly, she's supposed to be able to help cure the glowing man. So,
and therefore, she's the glowing woman. So we got to.
Right.
So there you have it. All right, that's number 9. At number 8, Basket Full of Heads, number 1. This came out 2019 for DC Comics. Near mint went for $12. Last recorded sale. This book goes for about $10 near mint. 9.8 goes for $59. It was number 1 in Key Collector, number 2 in CBSI. It did not make the cover price. In fact, it was in cover price last week. The sales volume, this book's at 68%. It has a hype level of a medium. What do you know about Basket Full of Heads?
Well, we were just talking about this before. So if I remember, this is the one that is written by Stephen King's son. And it's supposed to be optioned, or there's a possibility that it'll be optioned. So people are snapping it up because of that. I haven't personally read this one.
Yeah, so Basket Full of Heads is a horror anthology style book for it's a Black Label book for DC Comics. So, anywhere else it probably would have been a vertical book, and it probably will eventually become a vertical book. There's only 7 issues in the series. And Joe Hill happens to be the son of Stephen King. He's also known for Lock and Key, among other stories. And like you said, this has been picked up for an option. Therefore, people started gravitating towards it. The hype level is a medium because it's still relatively hot right now. However, just like the other book that we talked about, I don't think this will be on our list next week. And
yeah, I think this is until you start to see some trailers or something. Mm-hmm. But this would be one if you did want to seek after those type of things. Wait for it to drop back off. Maybe pick it up.
Yeah, give it some time. I think it's one of those books that it's got to be in dollar bins.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. All right, let's take a look at number 7. That's Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man number 1. This book came out in 2025 from Marvel Comics. Last recorded sale was $9 at near mint. Fair market value of this book is $11 near mint. While there's now 9.8 coming out, it's going for $104. This is number 10 in cover price, and the sales volume is 165%. Hype level is a medium. The show is now over. I have not finished it. I'm still issues behind, but the last episode I did see was one hell of a cliffhanger in regarding I forget the guy's name, but the football player.
Yeah, Lonnie.
Lonnie, and the reveal was it just made me go like this, like, oh my goodness, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. So, I had in my mind that he could possibly be 3 different characters, even though I know the name is tied to a character. They've kind of been twisting it a bit. If anybody doesn't know, these comics are kind of like a pre-story leading up to the series. And I'm sure if it keeps going, which it likely will because it's popular, it's going to fill in gaps. So it's not like the Star Wars adaptations where they basically just reprint the show. This is a separate story than what you see on the show. And because the season just ended, in season 10, if you thought your show was a cliffhanger, wait until the end of the season. It's awesome.
Yeah.
People are showing more interest in now filling in that gap and going back and getting these books, I think that's kind of driving some sales.
Yeah, I think now that there's some hype behind it. The show's good. It's finished. You can see the whole season. So therefore, you're going to see a little bit of dip for it. But I honestly think it was fantastic. I enjoyed it. My girls enjoyed it. We had fun watching it. I love the cliffhanger moments there because that was a cliffhanger.
All of it.
Yeah. So sorry, nerdy geek. I know, but everybody has their opinion, and I'm fine with that. And I did see Joffrey. Where's Joffrey Castro? He's here. Also, Adventurous Joe, who he started early. Yeah, we actually started on time. That's more like it. So.
Oh, I was asking Nerdy if he had that Stephen King's kids book. So
okay.
I don't think he has it.
Okay, that's what he was talking about. All right, so there you have it. Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man at number 7. At number 6, this one is a bit of a shocker to me, and that's Moon Knight number 1, 1980, Marvel Comics. Last recorded sale of this book was at $35 at a very fine. That's also the fair market value at $32. $114 for 9.6. On the trendy list, this is number 3 in key collector and number 8 in cover price. The sales volume of this book is at 74%. The hype level is a low, and I'm going to tell you why it's a low. No one's talking about this book except for one individual. Do you happen to know the YouTuber by the name of Mint Hunter Comics?
Yeah, I watch all of his videos.
Great guy. I plan on seeing him sooner or later because he's in my neck of the woods, but he's in like lower New Jersey. He's in lower New Jersey.
In New Jersey.
Yeah, lower New Jersey. So that's a bit of a trip. You have to go. For me, it'll be a bit of a trip. He was talking about comic books that are significantly lower than they should be. Yeah. Like they're under budget, right? And he pointed out this one. I'm willing to bet that people saw that video because he does have a great following. They saw it and they said, oh, that book is that cheap? Let me go pick it up. And that's why we saw an uptick of Moon Knight. Now, as far as hype level goes, once that video's out and people see it, no one's going to talk about it again. The only way Moon Knight is going to come back on a list like this is if someone's talking about it, if there's some spec, like we're going to get Moon Knight Volume 2. There's nothing in the horizon for Moon Knight at the moment.
Yeah.
So, yeah, is it cheap? Absolutely cheap. You know what I mean?
Oh, so this book has had a roller coaster ride, to be sure.
Yeah, and it's a great book. It's nothing against the book because I love it. I happen to have a copy of it. In fact, I have a big run of it because a friend of mine gave me all her Moon Knights, and I was like, and that was right before the show. So this is one of those books to me that I think it's here because a YouTuber said go buy it, and everybody went to buy it.
I'm okay. I've got the direct and I've got a newsstand, so
yeah,
bring it on.
Yeah, absolutely, but it's still worth the pick up if you could get it for that low. Get it because I promise you it will not stay that low. I'm just certain it won't. Okay, let's take a look at number 5. Daredevil 227. This book came out in 1986 from Marvel Comics. A near mint sold for $20 this week, while fair market value of this book's at $17 for a very fine. 9.8 goes for $222. It's not on key collector and it's not on cover price, but it came in number 3 in CBSI. The sales volume of this book is at 63%. The hype level is high simply because the Daredevil TV show is just a couple of days away from starting. And this is part 1 of Born Again.
I can't wait. I know that Marvel just put out in one of those little volumes that are like I think $9.99 US or something like that. Mm-hmm. The collection of this that I almost picked up. But mm-hmm. I can't wait to watch Daredevil. I love all the characters they have in those shows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. I'm so looking forward to it. I was looking at a video of, kind of like a behind the scenes type of thing and how they wanted it to be filmed in New York. The backdrop is New York. Obviously, it's Daredevil, so it's in Hell's Kitchen. So, but just the fact that they want to go back to the way it was in the Netflix show, and the fact that they're also saying that it's more gritty than the Netflix show, and that says a lot because that show was pretty darn gritty. I'm I'm cautious about certain characters and seeing how long they will stay. If you know what I mean, I feel like we're gonna get a death or two.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what I like about those Netflix original shows is you just kind of don't know. And bring me back John Bernthal. Like I can't wait.
He's coming. He's coming.
I know.
He's definitely on his way.
So. Him and Vincent D'Onofrio, like their scenes together are awesome.
Yeah, Vincent D'Onofrio is amazing. Speaking of him, I'll definitely talk to you about him later, because there is something coming down pretty soon that will have Vincent D'Onofrio in it, and I'll show it to you guys in a little bit later. Something that's happening soon enough, but it's going to be a good show, man. It's definitely going to be a good show. So there you have it, guys. Let's see if I can make this right. Just this one. Okay, perfect. I'm doing something in the background. So let's go ahead and say hi to some of the guys. I said hi to Nerdy Geek. I said hi to Joffrey. I see Matt likes comics. Matt, I'm happy you like comics. I like comics too. Jean Malot's in the house. What's going on? I don't speak French. Do you speak French, Shane?
I used to be able to speak it fairly well.
Okay.
The part of Canada I'm from is kind of the only official bilingual province, but that was many, many, many moons ago. But I can read it fairly well.
Okay, good. So I take it he said, I can never say it. It's bonjour, mes amis.
Bonsoir, mes amis.
There you go. Mes amis? Okay. All right, thank you. We got the Grizz MD in the house. New Jersey is quite a trip from New Mexico. Absolutely. Trust me, you're not missing anything. It's Jersey. I love the reprint of that issue of #1. Yeah, it's awesome, man. Black Spider's also in the house. What's up, my dudes? All right. So we got Daredevil 227 at number 5. Let's take a look at what's number 4. Number 4 is Amazing Spider-Man 129, 1973 from Marvel Comics. Last recorded sale of this book is $903 at a 5.0. Fair market value of this book is at a $862 at a very good, while 8.0 is the average, and they go for about $1,857. This came in number 4 in CBSI. Sales value is at 72%, which is very impressive for a book of this caliber. Hype level is high. You mentioned John Bernthal. We're getting our Punisher.
And we talked a little bit about this, but I do a value update on Sundays, and this was the top decreaser in that for last week in my collection, and it went down about $249. So I think a lot of people saw that and are buying because it's been dipping a little bit.
It's dipping a little bit, but it's gonna go right back up. It's one of those books. It's never. It's gonna go down, but then it's gonna shot right back up. And I think once we have the episode with John Bernthal, this book is gonna just keep going up. But 72%, like you said, it's a dip, but that's also an opportunity for people to purchase.
Yeah, this is one of those books like Giant Size X-Men, any of those early Fantastic Four, where you just kind of got to jump on at some condition of book because it, like you said, it's just going to keep trending up eventually. Small dips and then gains.
Yeah, it's such a standout cover too. Yeah, it's like you immediately notice it, you immediately know it. It is an amazing book. It's a great book to have and own. It's one of those books I do want to have in my collection someday. Just because Punisher is one of my favorite characters. I enjoyed the Punisher character just because of just his demeanor, the fact that he's the very first real true, anti-hero vigilante in comics. Like this is the one guy that started the trend of, oh no, I'm killing this guy, So, and we'll talk more about Punisher later when we get to Spotlight. I think there's one book I really want to focus on that
Yeah,
we're going to
I
talk
have
about.
this, and it's set for grading. It'll be graded sometime this year, so I'll be sure to let everybody know.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Let's take a look at number 3. Hulk number 1. This came out in 2008 for Marvel Comics. Last recorded sale of this book was $225 at a 9.8. Fair market value of this book is at $48 near mint, while 9.8s are going for about $242. So that last recorded sale got a deal based off the fair market value. This book came in number 3 for cover price, and just like Punisher, a lot of people are still buying this book. The sales volume is 143%. Hype level is a medium because the movie came. It's been in theaters for a week now. It had a significant drop. It didn't do too well the second week, but then again, it was still number 1, but it didn't do too well.
Yeah, it dropped off 82%, I believe.
Yeah.
But we talked a little bit about it. We both saw it, and I thought it was okay. Like the Red Hulk parts are neat. This book, I have it. It's at CGC right now, so I need this to hold on for a little bit longer.
Yeah. I have a copy signed by Jeff Loeb. I'm holding on to Ed McGuinness because I know that's a name I'm going to see sooner or later. Get him to sign it and then send it out for JSA, verification.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because with Jeff Loeb already signing it, I can't just get it.
Yeah.
But to me, what we got in the movie was a very different Hulk than what I wanted, because in the comic books, he knew he was turning into Red Hulk, if I'm not mistaken. And there was more to it to that, where in this one, he was like fooled into becoming the Red Hulk.
Yeah. I thought the way they did the computer effects was really great. How they kept kind of Ford's, traits of his face and everything.
Yeah.
And all that looked good. I don't know. There was just no wow parts. And that's kind of what I think we both felt about that movie.
Yeah. And I felt bad for Anthony Mackie. And the reason why I felt bad for him is Sam Wilson's such a great character. And this movie's called Captain America, Brave New World. But yet, this should have just been called Incredible Hulk 2.
Yeah. There was a lot of things pulled from, that movie, which is over 20 years old. And, a lot of people going into that aren't going to have any idea of the history with the leader or that movie. And it's not even the same Hulk character that they were talking about. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, agreed.
Yeah. First, we'll always go up. Yep. The movie made it did, but I think Red Hulk was already kind of popular. He was in cartoons and stuff like that. Actually, ASM 120 has tanked in 9.8 from 50. Well, you gotta look at 2022 as a outlier of a year. 21, 22, we got the boom. So pretty much every comic book went up and went down. That's a significant drop to 30,000 K. Now about 10K if you look sadly. 10K is whew.
Yeah.
But you know what that means? That means it's more affordable, guys.
Yeah.
That's all that says to me. You know what I mean? So going back to Hulk number 1, this book, another book that I think we're going to start seeing it go away from this list. It probably won't make it the list next week, I think this is it. Say goodbye to the Hulk until next time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let's go to number 2. And number 2 is Knights number 1. This came out in 2023 for Image Comics. Last recorded sale of this book was $25 near mint. Fair market value of this book is at $20 near mint. There are no recorded slab sale as of yet. This was number 4 in Key Collector, number 1 in CBSI, and it was also number 4 in cover price, which made this book into number 2. Sales volume of this book is to 62%. The hype level is a medium. So, just like we talked about Basket Full of Heads, Knights was another book that people started talking about and grasping. There's an animated film that's coming in through Netflix based off of this series. Now, here's another thing that I want you to take note of. So, as a result of Diamond distribution and really their bankruptcy and things like that, they're kind of doing a bit of some liquidating. And it would appear that there are more copies of Knights than we have recorded so far. So if people are making orders for Knights, number one, they're becoming more available. Therefore, the price of this book might be more than expected. Also, keep in mind it is an animated film for Netflix. I do not see this book being a big book. So this spec here, my personal opinion, is it has spec value now, but will it have spec value in a year?
I don't think we see this on the list next week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I don't think this is one of those books. Maybe the story will be great, but I cannot possibly see it blow up in the same way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. JS, look, Knights is still available on Diamond Select site for cover price. Seriously, there's only one 9.8 on the census. So, yeah, but they're coming. 9.8s are coming. They're definitely coming. So JSS is definitely right by saying that. I think this has some great potential to it, but I don't see it becoming the next Sweet Tooth.
No, I don't think so.
Mm-hmm. So be on the lookout. If you see that really good price, then grab it. $20 still isn't that much, but don't overspend on this book right now. And let's take a look at our number one book for this week. Gunslinger Spawn number 18, 2024 Image Comics. This book is going for $18 near mint. That's last recorded sale. It's also the fair market value. 9.8 is currently at $36. I checked the census. It is very low right now. Very low. It's number 6 for CBSI. It's number 2 for cover price. The sales volume is $131. The hype level of this book, it's a medium now. Even though it's number 1, I think the Mark Spears train is slowly dwindling. But this one's still hanging on because people are now everybody's grabbed the Spawn, everybody's grabbed the monsters, and now we're slowly seeing the other Spawn books. Be on the lookout for that King Spawn. We talked about that when we were doing the Mark Spears spotlight. I think that one's the one that we're going to see on this list very soon.
Yeah, and I think we talked about this as well with this cover is, like you said, people are going back now, and all these unattainable Spears covers that they just are crazy prices, they're starting to go back, to these ones that are affordable. And we've been talking about this cover for a number of weeks. And I've mentioned a couple of times that I went into my store and just picked this up for cover price, essentially. I think it was $15 or something like that. And it's more attainable, so it's easier to get, so it's on the list. We'll see what happens next week, though. I have the King Spawn one, too.
Yeah, I think the King Spawn's the next one that we're going to start seeing because it's not Spawn proper. So I think that's probably the reason why we don't see it as these other two. However, it's the first.
Yeah.
And you don't get that second chance to be the first. So that's why it's actually a really cool cover, too. I like that cover with him in the suit and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay. There you have it, guys. Gunslinger Spawn number 18 is number 1 this week. Will it be number 1 next week? We'll got to find out. Let me know what you think of the ranking system. Which books do you have? Share your thoughts in the comments and be on the lookout for next week because I think this list is going to look very different next week. That's my opinion. All right. Okay, Shane, that's one down. Woohoo!
I'm done.
One done. So let's take a look. I think I have a King Spawn or two. Oh, look at that. Good for you. All right. We had all those Mark Spears, but just on the list. We're on this all at once. Yeah, I think Mark Spears' train is starting to slow down a little bit. We're going to get Monsters 5 coming up very soon, but I don't think it's what it was a couple of months ago. I think it's now to the point that, okay, there's a little bit of oversaturation with Mark Spears at the moment. It needs to cool off, and now everybody's picking him up, Pass in Knights. There you go. Okay. So, Shane, what's going on, man? What you been up to lately?
Oh, not too much. Like I just I've been doing some regular videos. I've switched some things up now and then. I just put out the video on this. We Stand on Guard. Went through each issue and all the covers. If anybody wants to check out that, and yeah, just hanging out with you, having a great time. I'm loving it.
Yeah, we got something coming up very soon, right? We got a show coming up very soon, about a week and a half from now.
Yeah, we do. It seems like we just did that one, but
we just did that. You got it. It's the monthly comic book breakdown report. This one's happening March 7th. It's a Friday. I think we're gonna gun for a 6 o'clock show start time. We might start 6:30. It's all depending on where we are. I'm so looking forward to this. I think we had such a great time last week when we were talking about it. Not last week. I say last week. You hear me? Last month when we were doing January's numbers. So it's now time to do February's numbers. What was your biggest surprise from that show?
I just thought the whole thing was interesting to see. Again, like how you put everything together. It's just so well done, and to see all the different books that I didn't think we'd be talking about, but that were there. So it is fun to do.
Yeah, I think when we start talking about the top 5 selling books of all time for the month, that's going to be a big deal. Right now, the January's numbers are up, and those videos are doing really well right now.
Yeah.
I think the slabs, seeing what's been slabbed, will Absolute Batman be a high slabber again? Or are we going to see other books being slabbed like that? I'm curious to see that. And yeah, let's just see what this month holds, man. I think there's a lot of good stuff that's on the horizon. We might even have some new stuff in there. So it's still work in progress, but it's a good work in progress.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. All right. I think it's time for 30, 60, 90. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do this. Welcome to 30, 60, 90 Look Back. We're going to be going over the top book that was number 1 on 30 days ago, 60 days ago, and 90 days ago. We talked a little bit about Mark Spears. We're going to talk a little bit more about Mark Spears here. But let's go ahead and just dive right into it. We'll start off with that first book, Spawn 356. This book came out in 2024 for Image Comics. 60 days ago, this was the number 1 book in America. On January 27th, it was number 1 on Cover Price's list. It was top weekly sale of $40 at 9.6. It sold 51 units. The raws were going for $31 near mint, while the graded copies were going for $56 at a 9.8. As of today, the book sold on the 23rd, just yesterday, for $20 at near mint. There's been 211 sales in the last 30 days, and the price of the book has dropped from $31 to $29, so just a small dip. However, the graded copy has gone up $1 to $57. The highest sale of this book was $60, and that was on January 17th. And we only have 16 slabs recorded. Just to let you know, 15 of them are 9.8s.
Yeah, and like we were talking about before, I have a alert on eBay for this, because if I can get it for $60, I'm in. And there hasn't been one notification yet. So these people that have the 16 are not selling them right now.
Yeah, they're holding on to them. But it's a book that's been on the top 10 list numerous times. We've been covering this book a lot. It was number 1 a month ago. And though $40 and 9.6 is it's not bad. $60, 9.8 right now. What do you think?
I'd buy one.
Mm-hmm. For the cost of slabbing it too, right? You're talking about $35, $40 slabbing it. You're getting your price worth. Okay.
Yeah, some of these books we'll see how they hold up after a year, but it's a great cover. It looks good. It's a Spawn book. Mm-hmm. Can't really go wrong for that price in my mind.
Yeah, and Spawn books have a tendency of holding their value. They really do. When you look at Spawn books, they just don't go under. They stay on peak level. They might dip a little bit, but they don't go to the point that they're super affordable.
Yeah.
Right. Let's take a look at our next book, also Mark Spears. That was Return of the Living Dead #1. This came out in 2025. On January 1st, it came out officially for American Mythology Productions. So on December 18th, week 3, there was pre-sales for this book. Would you believe that there was pre-sales for this book? In fact, I believe that's a typo now that I'm thinking about it. I didn't catch the typo. I'm mad. I just realized that's a typo. So now I got to find the right date. But let's see here. If it's a typo or not, who knows? I was doing so good. We're doing so good. Anyway,
Yeah.
Let me just make sure I got the right reflective. No, that's the wrong one. Because it's the information's correct. It's the date that's wrong. So let's see here. It was December 30th. That's what it was. Okay. So let's rewind again. We're doing the rewind again. But, see here. I'm going to be honest with you guys, but I am not digging the choice of cutscene music. I'm sorry, Jean. I do that for a reason. So, all right, here. The Todd file deserves credit for having Mark Spears do all the covers before all the hype. Yeah, he saw talent. And thank you. Nobody's perfect. It happens. Okay, so wait, it just would not be about the show if I was in these well, first of all, Joe, you have the first. Oh, you said Monday show. I'm sorry. It's not a typo. Anyway, on December 31st, week number 4, this book was going for $90 near mint. Weekly sales were at 90. There was 90 sales for this book. The raws were going for $13 near mint. Graded copies were going for $60 at 9.8. As of today, this book is $3. There's 264 books that was sold since that 60-day period, which in turns the fair market value of this book is at $7 near mint. However, 9.8 are going for $111, and there was a high sale of $116 on the 31st. And just like the other book, there's not that many slabs. There's only 10 recorded at the moment.
Yeah, this one we were talking about it, and I picked this one up. The distributor still had them in stock. I got it for cover price. I've read it. It's not bad. It's not what I thought. I thought it was a anthology, so a bunch of different stories. Mm-hmm. It's actually just one, and it's kind of neat. It's different. It's a zombie-ish movie, but the value on this one has definitely come way down.
What do you think caused it, though?
I think the hype around monsters, because the interiors were done by him too, people were seeking out this one. And I think most people, me included when it first came out, thought that he was doing the interiors as well. Mm-hmm. I think that's kind of what's brought this back. It's solely just the cover.
Yeah. And I heard the interiors aren't that good for this one either.
It's very stylized. It's very like Saturday morning cartoony, which kind of doesn't fit as much with the content, but I thought it worked okay. Like, it's not the best, but I was fine with. I've seen worse from Marvel for sure.
Well, it wasn't Marvel; it was American Mythology, so it's a pretty indie book.
Yeah.
But it is a franchise. That's the other part. It's Return of the Living Dead, so you had something with the franchise. I think this was a perfect example of people pre-ordering a book, and they were buying it at a higher price because it was a Mark Spears book. Yeah. So when the book came out, I think we had just enough copies to satisfy buyers. And that's kind of caused it. Also, we talked a little bit about the interior art. The interior art is not up to par to what we would like it to have been. So that's also a factor in play. People care about the interior art. Would you believe that?
Can you believe it? Of a comic book? No.
What? I thought we were the slabbing, generation where we don't care what's inside. And I think that's what caused it. I think the book in itself, the cover is phenomenal.
Yeah.
But I think we have more that was really on demand. So we were able to fulfill the demand. And unfortunately, some people overpaid for this book. It happens, guys. I'm sorry to tell you.
It's the nature of the hobby.
Mm-hmm. Let's go to our book that was number 1 90 days ago. And that was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Naruto #1 on November 25th. This book was $15 near mint. That was the top weekly sale. There was 41 sales of this book. $12 near mint was the average raw. $60 was the grade 9.8 graded book. As of today, this book is going for $20 near mint. That was the last recorded sale. 135 copies within that 90-day period were sold. This goes to about $16 raw, while 9.8s are gunning for about $65. Last high sale of this book, the highest sale of this book was $70 at a 9.8. That was January 28th. There's currently 98 slabs in the census. That's a lot of slabs
for a
that came in.
Book, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one, Naruto Turtles. I mean, my kid probably says Naruto at least 100 times a day, so.
Yeah, and I know there's a fan base for these books, and the fan base was what caused the sales of this book to go. The book's going for about $16 to $20. It's not too bad for the book. However, I think the slabs are better price than picking it up for a raw. You know what I mean?
Yeah, whenever you can get a book that's already graded a 9.8, like you can send them in. It's not difficult to send books in, but you're rolling the dice. You just never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, you never know if it's going to be a 9.6 or a 9.4. If there's a dent you didn't know about, or there's a dent in transit. That happens sometimes, unfortunately. Yeah. From what I know, it's a fun book. The series is not over. I don't even think we got issue 3 yet. But hey, there's a fan base, and as there's a fan base, and we're talking about 2 franchises here, not just Naruto. We also got the Turtles, which has some big hype too. We talked a little bit about the Turtles when we were talking about the top selling books in Copper Age, and the Turtles are definitely on top.
Yeah.
So yeah, $60. Yeah, sure. Pull the trigger if you want to. I think that's not a bad deal.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. So there's your list, guys. Those are your 30, 60, 90 look back. We're going to say goodbye to the Turtles and Naruto. We'll look at Spawn and Return of the Living Dead again 30 days from now. I'm curious to see what that Living Dead book's going to look like then. I think the Spawn book's going to maintain its value.
Yeah. It's weird. Every one of those 3 books is a movie, has a movie.
Yeah, every single one of them. So they're franchise hits. All right. Thanks, guys, for watching 30, 60, 90. Whew. We're moving quickly. It's only 7 o'clock.
It's like a finely tuned machine right now.
You know what I'm saying? We got Fernbert, the nerd, in the house. I haven't seen you in a while, bro. How you doing? The art inside, yeah. To Mega Theron. Okay, cool, awesome. Yeah, great cover. Don't mean it. Don't mean it. A great cover. Wow. So, now it's time to go to, I think, everyone's favorite part of the show, and that is the creator spotlight. However, we're doing things a little differently today. All right, Shane?
Yeah, I can't wait.
So, guys, I did a poll, and I'm sure Joe did the poll this time. I did a poll for iconic cover artists. We are going to postpone that till next week. So you still have the ability to go into the poll. The poll's well over 100 votes already in, so someone's clearly winning.
Good, because I haven't decided yet.
Yeah, you still got some time. We're gonna keep the poll up because YouTube doesn't allow you to close the poll. It just does it. It's just gonna keep on going. But we're gonna do the poll. But then some news came out from Comics Pro. Have you ever heard of Comics Pro?
Not really. Like I read that article, but don't know too much about the history of them.
Okay, so Comics Pro is a retailer convention. So this is a retailer convention. This is not like going to New York Comic Con. It's not like going to MegaCon or any other of these shows. It is strictly for retailers. And what they do is that they announce certain products that happen comic book related or anything like that into the show. So it kind of does the same thing that a convention would do, but it's targeted towards the retailers so that they could buy books and things like that and get hyped up for what's to come. One of the big news coming out of Comic Pros Con that was in California was the news of DC Marvel crossover event will be happening, and that is some news. Yeah. We kind of sensed something was coming up because we were seeing the omnibus that was released during the holiday season. So, and they were starting to let do more of things like that, and therefore it really got me thinking. We talk about creators all the time, and we talk about what they've done, but we don't get a chance to talk about crossover events. So now we're going to take the time to talk about DC Marvel crossover events. What I think you guys are going to really like about this is that we're going to go over the official ones, but we're also going to do some unofficial crossover events, and that's where the fun's going to really come from. I'm not going to show you all of them, even though we have a lot already. There are some we're going to skip because you know what they are, and I don't need to share it with you. And to be completely honest, the price values of a lot of these books really isn't that much, with the exception of one book that we're going to look at, and you're going to be like, I think the whole chat is going to lose their marbles when they see the price of this one book. And then you can look it up on eBay, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But we're going to do DC Marvel Spotlight. So I know Jean doesn't like it. Here's the video. Creator Spotlight. We're going to be doing DC Marvel crossover. First of all, looking at what you see right now, tell me how much fun this is going to be.
When I saw this list, all I thought was, usually every Wednesday when I go in after Monday, I have a list of books that I bring up from the presentation that I'm going to buy or look for. This one, I'm like, oh man, every one of these books I'm going to try to find on Wednesday.
There's only one you probably, except for the one.
Except for the one.
Yeah, that one I don't think you'll be able to get that one. Okay, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about it. But we're going to be talking about the Amalgam universe. We're going to be talking about the crossover events that happened prior to that, anything that happened after that. We're also going to be talking about those books that are technically crossovers, but they're not official crossovers. And there's some odd ones too. But before we do that, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the history of it. So DC and Marvel's first collaboration happened in Superman versus Amazing Spider-Man back in 1976. Technically, a landmark event where two heroes joined forces against Lex Luthor and Dr. Octopus. Shortly after, another major crossover occurred with Batman versus the Incredible Hulk in 1981, in which Batman uses his intelligence and strategy to battle the Hulk while also dealing with the Joker and the Shaper of Worlds. In Marvel and DC presents the Uncanny X-Men and the New Teen Titans in 1982, the top teams of the era faced Darkseid and the Phoenix Force. Personally, that's one of my favorite books out there.
Oh, yeah.
All right. It was quiet for a while until the 1990s, where we saw an increase of crossovers with notable matchups like Batman Punisher in 94, Spider-Man and Batman in 95, and Daredevil and Batman in 97. The biggest event was DC versus Marvel in 1996, where fans voted on battle outcomes, leading to the creation of the Amalgam universe. Comics, a short-lived line merging characters like Dark Claw, Batman and Wolverine, and Super Soldier, Superman, Captain America. The last major crossover, JLA Avengers, that happened back in 2003, united both universes in an epic story by Kurt Busiek and George Perez. Since then, corporate decisions had prevented further crossovers, until now, but their impact endures, keeping fan speculations and excitement alive for future possibilities. All right. Let me take a sip here because we're going to need it.
Oh, I can't wait to see what they're going to do.
All right. So we're going to start things off with what we call the very first crossover event, which is an unofficial crossover event. And that's the Inferior 5 number 10. This book came out in 1968 for DC Comics. The high sale of this book is $239 at a 9.6, and that was on March 17th of 2022. Last sale of this book was $6 at a good. That's the condition, and that was the 21st of February. The average price of this book is $10 at a very good, while a 6.5 is the average, and that goes for $59. What it is, its cover depicts characters unmistakably belonging to Marvel, having suffered a humiliating defeat. In this image, we are seeing Spider-Man, which you could probably see right now, Mr. Fantastic, and what I assume to be the Thing.
And Human Torch there too.
Mm-hmm. Tell me, what's your thoughts on this one?
We're going to be saying this a lot in this segment, Izzy, but this is another one for $6 or even $60 for a 6.5.
I can't believe that this is the first time they ever even attempt this. Yeah. And we're talking about Marvel DC. We're not talking about all the other companies. I'm sure it's happened prior to that.
Yeah.
But Marvel,
it's amazing to me that there's such a history of back and forth between the companies, because I know that even in an early Batman issue, in the text, there's a mention of, one of the other characters from Marvel or something like that. And I just love stuff like this. Like my little kid brain is lighting up right now.
Yeah. Also, you see there is Namor. He's like, you can see his butt's in the air.
It's not technically Namor. It's just his butt.
It's his butt and the little wing ankles.
Yeah.
DVH is in the house. You came at a good time, DVH, man. We're talking about some good books here. So, wow. This one it's just fun, man. I'm having a blast when I was gathering all these books and just learning a little bit about the history between Marvel and DC. They were pulling jabs at each other big time.
Yeah.
So Inferior 5 number 10, that was the very first unofficial crossover event. Let's take a look at another one. Aquaman 56. This came out in 1971 for DC Comics. A high sale of this book went for $315 at a 9.6, and that was in June 2024. The last sale of this book was $10 at a good grade, and that was just a couple of days ago. The raws are going for about $12 at very good. Graded copies are on average is a 9.0 at $77. This is the first appearance of an algae creature sent into space that would later appear in Submariner 72. This is it's official, unofficial. It's a shared character.
How did that? I'd love to know the story on how that even happened. It must be the same writer, maybe, or the artist, or something.
I'm assuming that it is the same writer. I didn't bother to see for myself. However, this creature that you see on the cover is actually clearly in the cover. He will reappear. Now he appears again 3 years later.
Yeah.
So there is some, time. But at this moment, he's a DC character.
Yeah.
Right? At this moment, this algae creature is a DC character, and he's I guess he's a villain to Aquaman. We don't see him again till 3 years later, but we don't see him until Marvel shows him.
Yeah, it's very strange because, like you said, it's a DC issue. It's got nothing to do with Marvel until they print that other book, and then all of a sudden now he's part of that crossover. It's so cool. I love it.
Yeah. So let's take a look at our next book. Doctor Strange number 2. This came out in 1974 for Marvel Comics. High sale of this book was $516 at 9.6, and that was in April of 2022. Last sale of this book was $12 that are very good. The Raws are going for about $11 fine, while 9.6 goes for about $129. Again, another circumstances where we have an unofficial crossover appearance of the Green Lantern who passes out under the table after drinking yellow chamomile. The tea?
Take that. Take that.
What I'm saying? So, when I read this, I couldn't stop laughing because it's so stupid, right? He drinks the tea and it weakens him because it's yellow tea.
I love it.
It also features Green Arrow from DC and Captain Midnight from Fawcett that are also depicted in that scene.
Amazing.
Here's some tea for you.
And what, he wouldn't know it was yellow when he was drinking it?
Imagine all he had to do was like take off his ring and he'll be okay.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do. Oh my! And this is the second issue of Doctor Strange.
I know.
So awesome book. I definitely gotta look this one. Like most of these books are very affordable. So for me, I could go to a convention and just look them up and just buy them and then tell the dealer why I bought it. Because that's what I do. I'll tell you, it's like, do you know about this book? And they'll be like, no. And then I'll tell them after I pay for it so they wouldn't try to up the price. You know what I'm saying? It's just so cool hearing the stories. Let's take a look at our next book. We talked about the other one, The Savage Submariner, number 72. This book came out in 1974 for Marvel Comics. A high sale of this book was $2,100 at a 9.8. I'm not kidding when I say that. That's how much this book went for a high sale. So somebody knew something. This came out in July 6th of 2024. However, the last sale of this book was $11 for a very fine. This book goes for about $15 at a fine. 9.8 goes for about $120. So that person way overspent it. And it's that same algae creature that appeared in DC's Aquaman 56. Same character. It turned out that this was a secret DC Marvel crossover issue. So this was done on purpose. And they did it on the final issue of Submariner.
That's awesome. I love it because you got it in, Aquaman and Submariner, the same creature. I love it. So cool.
And it looks like there was permission to do this.
Yeah. And, there had to be some thought because they put them both, they're on the cover of both issues, which, wouldn't necessarily always be the case. So yeah, there's an interesting story behind all this, I'm sure.
Yeah. This is not tea, it's Superman drinks something red, passes out. Lantern drinks something yellow, passes out. Damn it. Batman damns lights away. Great point there, DVH. So we do have the same writer. So it was written by the same guy.
Yeah, and I kind of figured.
It had to have been. Okay. Let's take a look at our next book, and that is MGM's Marvelous Wizard of Oz #1. This came out in 1975 for DC and Marvel Comics. A high sale of this book is $100 at a Raw. The last sale of this book was $75 at a very fine. Raw goes for about $50 fine. There's no recorded slabs. It is an oversized book. And this just happens to be the very first comic book co-published by DC and Marvel Comics. So this one's official. I'm just curious, why this book?
Like maybe they both had rights in the movie company and they had to co-do it.
It could have been, like a licensing issue or something like that.
Yeah, it doesn't say anything about like a backup story that has any of their characters or we would know that. But yeah, it's just a really interesting standout that they both come together for the first official time. And it's for a book that has nothing to do with any of their characters.
Yeah, and it's an IP still. So it's a popular IP. It's MGM's Wizard of Oz. So they're basing this off the movie. So this is technically in that adaptation of the movie. that came out back in the 50s, or even though
Yeah.
I don't even know how old the Wizard of Oz is. It's just it's so weird that this is the first.
Yeah. And I bet you this does not come up for sale very often. Like, this is one of those books that you would find at a flea market or a yard sale that
Yeah.
someone has it and they have no idea what it is.
Well, and I think to the collector's market, because I'm familiar with this book. I was familiar with this book before we did this. I was very familiar with it. But to me, it was always like weird.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, this is the book you decide to be your first book together.
I know.
You know, I would have just said, okay, we'll do that later. Let's do this one now. You know, just to get it out of the way.
Yeah.
But it's the first one. It'll be labeled at the first one. You never can change that. Let's go to our next book, which is the one that really matters. And that's Superman versus the Amazing Spider-Man #1, The Battle of the Century. That's the official title of the book. It came out in 1976 for Marvel and DC. High sale of this book went for $1,200 at a Raw, and that was in January 2022. The last sale of this book was $150 at a no grade. The Raw goes for about $86, very good. While there is a 9.0, and it sold for $226, and that's what we call the average. This is what we call the first official company crossover event featuring Marvel character and a DC character. And of course, you're going to pick your flagships, Superman and Spider-Man. There's also a 100-page oversized crossover featuring Superman and Spider-Man.
Yeah, this one is it's been on my radar for a while to pick up. Mm-hmm. I love the cover. I mean, again, going back to being like 14, you know, seeing these two characters and knowing about Marvel and DC. And that's something that we take for granted as collectors. Like, all you got to do is talk to any of your kind of non-comic people, or even if they're a little bit into it, they might like the movies. They don't know what you're talking about when you talk about, oh, that's a different company. Mm-hmm. Superman would never be in the movie with Batman or with Spider-Man. And they're like, oh, well, why not? It's all comics. Mm-hmm. So very, very cool for those of us in the know. Don't ever take it for granted. We know stuff.
Yeah. I have my copy right on the wall right up there. So I do have a copy of it. It's hanged up. It's not a great copy because it's not your traditional staple bound. So it's glue bound. So the glue came off of it. So it's not a good copy, but it's a copy that I love and I have framed up because I think it's just one of the coolest books. It is an oversized book. It's a big book. It's not small. It doesn't read like a traditional comic. They went Treasury edition for this one. But it's so much fun. I love it. Absolutely love it.
You can get it in that omnibus of the DC and Marvel. It is in that, I believe.
There's also trades that you could get if you want something a little more feasible. The trades do exist. Let's take a look at our next one. And that's Machine Man 19, another unofficial book. This came out in 1981 from Marvel Comics. The high sale of this book was 1,509.8, and that was in February of 2021. Comic boom, of course. $19 for a fine is the last recorded sale. Book goes for about $15, and 9.6 goes for $138. This is a key as it features the first appearance of Jack-O-Lantern, who will eventually become the Hobgoblin. But it's kind of hard to see it because it's very, very small. In the cover, there's an overweight Batman and Superman.
Yep, they're right at the back, kind of behind the girl in white's butt, essentially.
Yeah, it's really minute, but it's Batman and it's Superman.
They snuck it in there.
Yeah, and they had to be overweight. What's the deal with that? Body shaming?
Because it's just showing that Marvel's in shape and DC's not.
So, fun book. Moving to our next. Oh, this is the big one. Okay, people. I'm about to say something to you guys that you're going to be amazed by. New Teen Titans #6. This is a printing era book. Came out in 1981 for DC Comics. A high sale of this book. And I don't have an official date. I looked like crazy for the date, man. I couldn't find it. But it sold at a 7.5. It's a qualified grade, by the way, for $1.8 $15 million. It is currently on sale on eBay. You can find it if you want to look for it. It's there for $1.2 million. Now, why is it such a big deal? There's 2 in existence, and it's a Teen Titans number 6. Inside, it's a double cover. The second cover is Marvel 2 in 174. Now, during this time when this book was printed, it was in 1981, both Marvel and DC had the same printing house, and they will print the same book. And they ended up making a printing error. They accidentally double covered the book, but the double cover was the DC was the cover, and the inside there was a second cover, and that was Marvel 2 in 174. There's 2 in existence that we know of. This is, beside the major keys, this has got to be the most expensive comic book out there.
I'm going to be right back. I'm going to go check mine.
Look, it's so, I know, so much, right?
I love it. It's so cool that things like this happen. And, like, think of it. If you were a kid and you did this, you would probably just rip the cover off if you had one. Be like, oh, it's the wrong cover. There's 2 of them.
Yeah, but you bought New Teen Titans and inside is Marvel 2 in 1.
Right. You'd be very confused because obviously that's not going to be the Titans.
and you know what's the worst part of it? You slapped it. You slapped it.
I know.
How could I see it now?
That's a tough call because you'd want to preserve it. So you'd have to go a different route, like a comic capsule or something like that you could take it back out when you wanted to, because yeah, you're right. Like why do that? I mean, that's kind of the thing personally that I think of is preservation, sure, but stuff that's on the inside, I mean, you'd want to show that off. Look, this is it.
I won't trust you. You see the grade, it would get lost somehow. Well, they grade it. It's already graded. So there appears to be another copy floating around somewhere. We don't know where it is. I haven't heard anything about it. There's only 2 copies of this book. This is one of those circumstances to me that doesn't make sense to make this book $1 million comic.
Oh, you could buy a lot of other better books for that much.
You could get Action Comics #1 for that money. We talked about it when we were talking about the top 5 books of the Golden Age. You could easily buy any one of those books. You might be able to buy 2 of them.
What's this going to cost? Like, what is it, 3% or more now to grade a book of this value?
My only curiosity is what justified this price tag. You get what I'm saying?
And somebody wanted it. The market.
Even so, it's a double cover of a Marvel and a DC book. Okay, I get that. That's cool. But to make it $1 million book, that just doesn't make any sense to me.
No.
But it's been sold. It was sold. It was purchased. And it's currently on sale now. So if you go to eBay, I promise you, go to eBay, search up New Teen Titans #6. You will find this book for $1.2 million.
Million.
No denying. All right, let's move on to our next book.
I will be checking as soon as the show's over.
You go for it, man. I'm serious. It's there. I'll send you the link if anything.
If I show up at your door tomorrow, you'll know why.
Marvel Treasury Edition #28. This came out in 1981 from Marvel Comics. High sale of this book's $120 raw, and that was in September 2022. Last sale of this book was $14 at the good. The raws are going for about $21 fine. There's no recorded slabs. Again, this is another Treasury Edition. This is the second Superman Batman story. It also features Superman battling the Hulk. It is the first part of a crossover trilogy that began with Superman and Spider-Man #1, and it also continued to DC DC Special Series 27, which features the Hulk and Batman, which we're going to talk about in a minute.
I love this cover too. Love the painted design of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really cool. Another one that any of these crossover onesies, Treasury, mm-hmm. I'm always on the lookout for them at Comic-Con.
I also like that they chose Doctor Doom as the villain for it. And Doctor Doom is not known to be a Spider-Man villain at the time. He's a Fantastic Four villain, so they just decided to give him a villain that's someone else's. Parasite obviously is Superman's villain, but why not? Why not throw in Doctor Doom? You know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So really cool book. It's part 2 of a 3-part story. Technically, it's a sequel more than a part 2. All right, let's take a look at the last part, which is DC Special Series number 27. This came out also in 1981 for DC Comics. Now, one of the things that they were doing was that certain times Marvel will publish it, and then other times DC will publish it. So even though it is a production of DC and Marvel, collaborative effort, only one of the companies will actually publish it under their banner. I don't know how the rights work and the license, if they just license it out or something like that. Not 100% certain, but this one was published by DC. The other one was published by Marvel. The first Superman, Batman, the Superman, Spider-Man, I do believe was co-published.
I'm gonna check my Marvel Unlimited tomorrow and just search up Superman and see if any of them come up or if they're not allowed to put them on there.
Probably not, because it is a licensing thing. So this came out in 1981 for DC Comics. The high sale of this book was $330 raw. That was in April 2022. Last sale of this book was at $80 at a very fine, pretty good price, I'll say. Very good, goes for about $41. The graded copy goes for $130 at a 7.5. This too is an oversized edition. They just wanted to do oversized treasuries. I'm just curious as to why they decided to do that.
Yeah, maybe it was to have something that stood out separate from their regular publishing size, not to confuse, the young kids buying them into thinking one was Marvel or DC. It was more of a completely different animal.
Yeah. Well, there's also this price tag. So, excuse me, you have a book that came out in 1981 and your price tag is $2.50 for books that are about 60 cents.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're paying triple the value of a standard comic book. So maybe they saw something in doing that. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm loving the Batman art on that. Well, all the art, to be honest, is great on it.
Yeah, it's a great cover. This is amazing. Like, even the Hulk looks great. I love how the Hulk looks. I like this cover a little bit more than the previous one.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at our next book. Marvel and DC presents The Uncanny X-Men and the New Teen Titans #1. This came out in 1982 for DC and Marvel. This is the rare occasion that they both distribute it. This is a high, goes for $204 at 9.8, and that was on June of 2024. Last sale of this book was $10, very good. The Raws goes for about $7, very fine. Well, not very fine, but fine. And a 9.8 goes for about $120. This is the first crossover of the Uncanny X-Men and the Teen Titans. It is a wraparound cover art by Walt Simonson. It's the first appearance of the Source Wall, a final barrier between the multiverse and a cosmic phenom that is the delta of existence. All right. Before I even let you speak, I love this book. I have multiple copies of this book. I wish George Perez would have done it, but I love Walter Simonson's art in this book. Love it. It is so perfect to me.
Yeah. This if you don't follow like the Titans, you would look at this title if you're a newer collector or you're more of a 90s or 2000s type person. and go, the X-Men and the Titans, why? But at the time this came out, the Titans were the kings at DC, really, in a team book. They were on top, and so were the X-Men, obviously. This book is awesome. I have a couple copies myself. I have one signed by Claremont. That's graded. I have another one that isn't, but the thing to watch out for in these books is there's a centerfold inside, and you just have to watch out that it's not popped out.
Good point. To your point on George Perez, was he too busy? Yes, he was. And here's why. During this time, Marvel and DC were doing more collaborations. This just so happens to be the last collaboration that they've had in just an extended period. Why? Because the two companies couldn't see eye to eye with certain things. So this was the last one. So during this time, ideally speaking, it was intended that George Perez was going to do this book. But they gave George Perez Justice League Avengers to work on. And he began working on Justice League and Avengers during the time that this book was being released. Unfortunately, because of, editors and, they couldn't see eye to eye on the story. They couldn't see eye and eye what was going on. So therefore, they scrapped the plans. And the pages exist. The pages exist for Justice League Avengers. Years later, those pages went on sale. And they were purchased by Rob Liefeld.
That's awesome.
And Rob Liefeld, I don't know if he still has the pages. I'm assuming he still does. But he was able to purchase the pages from an auction house, I think it was. And he got the pages for the book. Now, from this one, this book is just awesome because you got Darkseid and you got the Dark Phoenix. And, Simon's, just look at that cover with the Dark Phoenix. Man, she looks perfect to me.
Yeah.
And, they got Simonson to do the art. They got, of course, Claremont wrote it. But just like you said, in the 80s, these were the two biggest company mascots, right? The X-Men were leading the charge in Marvel. They were the number one selling book in Marvel, while the Teen Titans were the number one selling book in DC. So you took the two biggest stars that weren't Superman and Spider-Man, and you just put them into this story, and the story was a good story.
Yeah, and the back cover, like you said, is amazing. It's a big shot of Darkseid's head. Looks so good. I love this book.
And you kind of could see it right now, but you got Professor X on the Metron chair, which perfect. Great storytelling. Right. Let's go to our next book, and that is Legion of Superheroes, number 300. This came out in 1983 for DC Comics. A high sale of a 9.9 went for $175, and that was in June of 2018. The last sale of this book was $3. That's also the fair market value of the book at a fine. 9.8 goes for about $120. This features a cameo appearance of Garfield the Cat, who's not a Marvel character, but does appear in Marvel Fanfare number 9. However, there's a cameo appearance of Spider-Man in this book.
Yeah, and this one I didn't know anything about. I'd be curious if I can find this one to see if it's like just a panel or something like that.
Yeah, it's a cameo. It's just a simple cameo of Spider-Man. So they will throw, DC and Marvel will throw in these characters every so often here just to see if people are looking. But Spider-Man's in the book, so that's a crossover.
Yeah.
It counts. All right, let's take a look at our next book. This one's a good one.
Yeah.
Swamp Thing 47. This came out in 1985 for DC Comics. High sale of this book is $140 at 9.8. That was in June of 2021. Last sale of this book was $3 at a very good. And the fair market value of this book is $6 at a fine, while 9.8 for $91. This is the first team appearance of the Parliament of Trees, elements of Swamp Thing, like Swamp Thing, but it's an uncredited cameo and cover of Marvel's Man-Thing.
Is that him in the left there?
That's Man-Thing.
I love it.
He made the cover.
This is one of those ones. I'm going to be checking for this on Wednesday. This is a book that's definitely in the bins. It's a higher issue count for for Swamp Thing. It's around. It's in your comic store.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's one of those things when you look at it at first, you're like, wait a minute. And you take a double glance, like, is that Man-Thing? It's Man-Thing. Now, keep in mind, it's uncredited. So they cannot call him Man-Thing.
Yeah.
Right? Official, but, so it's an unofficial appearance. But there's no denying that's Man-Thing. I like it in the chat. That don't look like Man-Thing. It's Man-Thing. Trust me, it's him. The only difference is you don't see like he has. I don't even know if it's like a nose or something like that. But
if I find the book on Wednesday, you'll be able to see it on my Instagram. I'll put a picture of the outside and inside.
Yeah. Yo, what's up, Rich? Why they always showing Swamp's backside on most of the? They just like showing Swamp butt. It's always about Swamp butt. Alan Moore, yeah, that's an understatement. Alan Moore's always upset with DC. It's nothing. So they have it. Swamp Thing 47. What the number 3? I have to say it that way. What the 1988 from Marvel Comics. High sale of this book was only $13 at a Raw, and that was in July 2023. Last sale of this book was $3 at very good. Raw's going for about $4. There's no recorded slab sales. This is one that's a little bit of a shocker to me. And the reason why it's a shocker, it features a 2-page story titled Birth of a Hero, done by Todd McFarlane. And it's a parody of Batman. No, Bat, man.
Yeah.
About how he chose his name, and it also features a cameo of Joker. So this version of Batman actually looks like a baseball player. Because he's the Bat, as in baseball bat.
The Batman.
And it does feature Joker. And there is a Robin. But what's more interesting is that it's done by Todd McFarlane, and this book is going for $13 on a high sale. Dare I say it? What the?
Yeah. I'll be looking for this, but I think this one would be harder to find.
This is one of those.
What the hell is even that?
Because how could this book be so cheap?
I don't think anybody knows about it.
Well, they know now.
Yeah.
So imagine a couple of weeks from now we do our top 10 and this book is in the top 10 list.
Oh, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? Because there would be no doubt that it was because of this.
Yeah, we got to get the major crossover event. So we got to get Todd McFarlane doing a crossover event.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. I remember when what the came out. I bought a copy or two. I may have even owned this book at one time. But
I do remember the title, but I don't remember anything about this one.
It was Marvel's version of Mad Magazine. Yeah. That's pretty much what it was. And it did feature Spider-Ham in it. So, yeah, this book is a dollar bin book right now, but it probably shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be a dollar bin book. It's a Todd McFarlane. I would take this to Todd to sign.
Oh, that's a conversation starter. I mean, how many times does he see Amazing 300 or whatever, right? But this, he's not seeing this probably in the whole
very
show.
rare for him to see this book.
Yeah, that would be something that I would definitely take for him to sign. I like to find like weird stuff like that.
Absolutely. All right, let's go with our next book. Superman 50, 1990 for DC Comics. High sale of this book is at $93 and 9.8. That was in August of 2022. Last sale of this book was $20 and 9.2. The Raws are going for about $4 fine, while 9.6 goes for about $34. What's important about this book? Really, the importance is that Clark Kent proposes to Lois Lane, and she accepts. What's really interesting about this book, and yeah, a lot of people have talked about this, so this is not, it's not as rare as you would think. It does feature a Marvel DC crossover. Mr. Mxyzptlk reveals himself to also be Marvel's Impossible Man, and he claims he needs to visit his 4 friends. And the quote is, "Oops, sometimes it's just impossible to remember what I look like from world to world." In this issue, he confronts a group of heroes dressed in blue using dialogue from Impossible Man's first appearance, Fantastic Four 11 in 1963.
It's just awesome.
I knew about this one. This one I knew about.
This one I didn't know about, but it's amazing that they can pull something from 63 into a book written in 1990. I just love it. Mm-hmm. So cool.
But it made sense, right? That Impossible Man is in fact Mxyzptlk.
Yeah.
And yes, to Black Spider's point, Superman does have the Kool-Aid Man, so that could be a crossover too. Oh yeah. I love these books that they do these things. They don't get enough credit as they deserve because there is some fun stuff to it. If I was to slap this book, I would love to have that in the notes as well, because I think it should be the notes.
That's one of the things I don't understand about CGC is why you can't see what's in the notes or submit something that they can look into to verify or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. Great book. It's a fun book. Obviously, you got the proposal, but man, Mr. Impossible, Mr. Mxyzptlk is Mr. Impossible. I knew it. Our next book is actually a real nice one. This is a nice touch, and this is Night Stalkers number 4. It came out in 1993 from Marvel Comics. That year is very significant. High sale of this book's only $9. And that was January of last year. That sale of this book was $3. The book's a cover price book. It's a dollar bin book. There's no real grades associated with it. So why is it in this list? Well, Hannibal King, the vampire companion of Blade from Marvel Comics, in a scene, in an end scene, he pays respect to Superman 1 month after Superman 75. So the writer and artist decided they were going to pay tribute to the death of Superman by putting a scene where Hannibal King is going to a cemetery, and it's very clear that he's going to pay respect to Superman.
That's awesome. This is another one that, like you said, it's probably in dollar bins everywhere and without people knowing why. Mm-hmm. This is one I'll check on Marvel Unlimited to see if it's actually there, mm-hmm. and to see if I can find that panel. It's very interesting.
I saw the panel. You could definitely see the panel. It's so cool. Like it says the most in one of the panels, it recognizes that he is the greatest superhero of all time. And then you could kind of tell it is Superman. Why Hannibal King beats me.
Yeah.
Yeah, But they apparently the editors at Marvel said, sure, go for it.
Or they snuck it past them. Who knows? Like, I love those insider stories, but
I'm sure the editor, maybe not the editor in chief, but maybe the editor knew it because he had to edit the book.
Yeah.
And he saw it and he was like, yeah, what the hell? It's a big deal. It's significant.
No one's reading this anyway. You're going to be
nobody's reading Night Stalkers anyway. You're probably right in saying that too. All right, let's take a look at our next book. Batman Punisher Lake of Fire, 1994 for DC Comic Books. The high sale of this book is at $29 at a Ron. That was in January of this year. Last sale of this book was $5 and no grade. This book goes for about $6 at a very fine. No reported slabs. This features the first crossover event of Batman and Jean-Paul Valley and the Punisher. This was... I find it interesting that this was the very first crossover since, right? So now we have an official crossover event. And DC decides, hey, let's use our other Batman to meet Punisher. And everybody's going to love that one.
I don't get this one at all, especially when you're, like you said, you're going to decide to do a crossover and you're going to take, two characters that are essentially exactly the same. They're both killers. They both have no problem with violence. The interesting part of all these crossovers is you take somebody like Superman and Spider-Man, completely different powers, or the Hulk and Batman. So this one, to me, it's almost like DC is just like, you know what? This is Batman now. Get used to it, people. Like, we're all in on this.
Yeah.
It's John Paul. So I don't know. Yeah, this one I haven't read it.
Denny O'Neil wrote the story. It's fine. It's nothing crazy. But it was interesting at this point. What DC and Marvel decided to do was, you know what? You could have our character, do what you want with him. Maybe they had some rules of what you could and couldn't do, right? Couldn't do. But you produce it, right? And then we'll produce our version. So there's 2 copies of each. So this was the first of them. Right? We're not going to go over all of them. There's not enough time to go over all of them. But this was the first one. It was Batman Punisher Lake of Fire was the first one to come out. It had some success because it's still a crossover.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, that's not the Batman we want to see fight with Punisher. Marvel said, "Oh no, we're using Batman."
Yeah.
And Punisher Batman, notice how they flipped the names. Right? Punisher Batman Deadly Nights 1994 from Marvel Comics. This one has a high sale of $115 at a 9.8. January of this year it sold. The last sale of this book was $20 at no grade. It is also a fairly inexpensive book at $9, and 9.8 goes that same $115. This is the second crossover event, but it really is the first of Batman and Punisher, Bruce Wayne Batman. Also features Jigsaw and Joker in the book. I love this book. I think it's Chuck Dixon understood the story. He understood the character of Batman and the Punisher because, one, he wrote them both. And you got John Romita, his first DC book. So that also is part of that. And there's this amazing scene of the Punisher, and he sees the Joker, and the Joker's laying on the floor. They're in the alleyway. He sees the Joker, and you know what he's going to do. He ain't Batman.
Yeah.
So his plan at that moment was to kill the Joker. And the best part is the Joker thought he wasn't going to do anything because he doesn't know Punisher. Right? So Joker's like, whatever. But then he's realizing, oh, this guy's going to kill me.
Yeah.
Great storytelling. It's a book I definitely recommend people should read. I love that scene too. And John Romita Jr. does such a great job as drawing that scene with the Punisher just looking down the shadows. It's raining, all that fun. What makes John Romita's stuff great.
Yeah.
Definitely go check it out. It's another one of those easy, cheap to find books. Next book is DC versus Marvel Comics #1. This came in 1996 for DC and Marvel Comics. This is a joint effort. What they ended up doing is, as the issues go, there were 4 issues each. And what they did was like issue 1 and 3 was DC versus Marvel. Issue 2 and 4 was like Marvel versus DC. That's how they managed. They couldn't just, let it be, right?
I know.
Yeah. So 4-issue crossover of characters from Marvel and DC. First in continuity crossover. So this actually had lasting effects. It was meant to have lasting effects. And it occurred within their universes, mainstream history of each universes. That was the important thing. The other thing that was important about this book is the battles. So before I even go there, high sale of this book is $360 at 9.8. That was November of 2021. Last sale of this book was $6 near mint. That's a lot of copies. The book goes for about $20, so that sale is actually a deal. It goes for about $20, very fine. 9.8 goes for about $68. Like I said, there's a lot of copies. It's easy to get. This also features the battles. The only thing I wasn't too thrilled about was the artwork. And Black Spider said it best. He understands me. The artwork in this book was subpar. Like there was some moments that was good, But then it was like, this is supposed to be a major crossover event, and you can't get me your best teams for it.
It's supposed to be the best of the best, like the best of your company. It should be the best of your creators. So I do agree with that. There was parts of this that, could have been so much better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Issue 3 is the big one. Issue 3 was the individual battles. So just came out 96 DC Marvel. Notice that it says Marvel versus DC. $90 at a 9.8 is the last high sale of this book, and that was December of 2024. So just this past year. Last sale of this book was $7 at a fine, which is also the cost for a raw fair market value. $90 is the fair market value at 9.8. This features the individual battles between DC and Marvel. It also features the first appearance of the Algoman Universe heroes. Okay. So for those of you who don't know or who weren't born during this time, like Shane and myself were around during this time, this was a voting situation where the fans were allowed to vote the winner of the battles. Now, the battles were Superman, Hulk, Batman, Captain America, Spider-Man and Superboy, which I didn't understand that one, Wonder Woman and Storm, and Lobo versus Wolverine. And the outcomes were recorded in this issue. So my question for you, Shane, did you vote?
I did.
Did your guys win?
I can't remember for sure now, but I will let you know, and I'm sure you were going to bring this up as well. In the omnibus of this, they have the alternates for each battle. No. So the one that wasn't published, and the reverse if the other character won.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we have someone. We got Meyer HQ who's asking the question. We're gonna talk some new comics or just boomer. We're at the portion of the show where we talk about this. We're doing the spotlight, so we are gonna get to new comics in a little bit. Right now we're focusing on Marvel DC crossover events, so we'll get there. I don't know, probably within the next 30 minutes or something like that. So I did vote, and for the most part, most of who I voted won. Right? Some of them were too obvious, like Superman versus Hulk. I expect Superman to win, even though I think Hulk could have won. Right? Spider-Man, Superboy, it's mismatch. Spider-Man wins, even though I think Superboy could have probably beaten him. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. But how can you not pick Spider-Man over Superboy? I'm sorry. Wonder Woman beats Storm, of course. The one that I think was wrong, but I understand, was Wolverine Lobo. I don't think Wolverine can beat Lobo, my personal opinion.
Yeah, that was a weird one. And if anybody's interested, I know Legion of Comics, he does a really good review of the omnibus and kind of goes into all of the different battles and their outcomes. And I remember like right away flipping through the comic to see like who won each one as soon as it came out. I love these books.
Yeah, it's a fun book. So when this issue finished, then we got the Algoman Universe. And let's go ahead and look over them, because what they ended up doing is that they did a series of 12 books. What they paused all the books, all of them. And they decided, hey, we're going to do the Algoman Universe, in which they did a combination of characters. So we had Storm and Wonder Woman. They became Amazon, and it was written by John Byrne with Terry Austin. The artwork by John Byrne, that was cool. You also have Assassins, which was a pretty interesting take on that one. That was fun. One of my personal favorites was Doctor Strange Fate, which I didn't know at the time. It wasn't two characters. It wasn't Doctor Strange and Dr. Fate. It was also Professor X that was part of it. I didn't know Professor X was part of it, but they added him into the mix as well. Then you had JLX, which that artwork was kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The biggest one of all of them was Legends of Dark Claw.
Yeah, for sure.
They had Jim Valiant do the art, and Jim Valiant was big at the time. He did a great job in this book. You know, he cared about it. Like, oh no, I'm going to make this count. So this is probably one of the most sought after book, with the exception of one which we'll get to in a little bit. Super Soldier, which I thought was a poor name choice for Captain America and Superman, especially the costume to me was like, yeah. You know, it was like, oh, we're just gonna make him look like Captain America on top, and then we're gonna give him the bottom look like Superman.
Yeah.
You know, we'll get to Lobo Duck in a minute. Bruce Wayne, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That's a cool concept. I thought that was really cool. Here's one that I wasn't a big fan of. Bullets and Bracelets.
Yeah.
Steve Castle and Princess Diana, which they didn't even bother changing her name.
Yeah.
And she has the old costume. She has the costume of that era too. So it was like, yeah, we just screw it. Just do this one. Magneto and the Magnetic Men. Roger Cruz did that cover. It was actually pretty cool. Speed Demon, which I think that cover is awesome. It was my favorite cover of Speed Demon, where you had that. Speed Demon was a little bit of a couple of people too. It wasn't just, you know, Flash. It was Flash, the Demon, Ghost Rider was all part of it. So it was like a super mashup. Then you had Spider-Boy. So if you remember about a year or two when Spider-Boy first showed up, and we're talking about Spider-Boy, Marvel proper Spider-Boy, where everybody was picking up this book because they forgot that this is this is not the real Spider-Boy.
Yeah. Everybody was after it because it's the first Spider-Boy.
Yes. It became a spec book for all the wrong reasons. And then you had X Patrol. And X Patrol, oh my God, those names were terrible. They had Shatter Starfire. And instead of Beast and Chanley, it was Beastling. Like these, I felt like Jim Shooter, 13-year-old Jim Shooter wrote these stories. you know, so that was that one. Then we had the sequel. The sequel was DC Marvel All Access. I completely forgot about this. This came out in 1996 for DC Marvel Comics. The high sale of this book was $60 at 9.6, and that was in July of 2024. The last sale of this book was $4. That's also the fair market value, and 9.6 is the fair market value for the graded book. So this was a 4-issue limited series that marked the second official crossover in DC Marvel. The difference was that they were more focused on stories and character-driven stories. They had a really cool story with Jubilee and Robin, but it also led the way to the second wave of the Algeman universe, all right, which gave us Dark Claw Adventures, which I thought was brilliant to do that. Let's do Dark Claw, but let's do it in the style of Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah.
Which I thought was great. I love that cover. I think it's one of my favorite covers. Another book that people really like to have and own. There was another cool one, Bat Thing, where you took the concept of Man Bat and then the Swamp Thing and Man Thing, and you just created Bat Thing. Another one that I thought was pretty interesting, that's Generation Hex, where you took Generation X mutants and then you put them with Jonah Hex, which I thought that was clever. That one was clever to me. JLX Unleash with Fing Fang Flame.
Oh,
here's another.
Did
go ahead.
Give up at that point,
they just ran out of names, man. It was like, screw it. Here's my favorite one, Lobo the Duck, man. They couldn't even change his name. They just screw it. Let's just call him Lobo the Duck. I love that book. Trapped in a world never fragged. So there you go, Scotty. There's your Lobo Duck. I love it. That one I love. That one's a favorite of mine. And then Super Soldier, Man of War, featuring Sergeant Rock and the Howling Commandos.
That Lobo one, James Gunn is just weird enough
to make it happen.
There could be a mention of that wherever Lobo shows up. So if I was going to buy any of these ones for Spec, that would be one that I would be like, I'd be willing to pay, $5-10 for that one.
Oh, they're all cheap. All these books are cheap because it was highly produced. That's another thing. I didn't bother with the price tags of these books because they're super inexpensive. Even the Dark Claws, which are probably the most expensive out of the bunch, they're not expensive. Yeah. If you pay more than $20, you're paying too much. And that's a fact. Right? Challengers of the Fantastic. I think that was a cool concept because it's the world's greatest deaf. I think it was deaf cheaters. That's what it's called. So what I like about this one is that they just clearly went on the trope. They said, we know that the Fantastic Four were a bite off of the Challengers of the Unknown. So why not just make it? You know what I mean? This just did it. All right. Then we have the exciting X Patrol. What was cool about this one is that, again, we're back with the X Patrol. They're back. But the artwork's done by Bart Sears, which I thought that was cool.
Yeah. Great art.
Yeah. Iron Lantern, where you have Iron Man and Green Lantern become one. So that's cool. Right. And then we have this was another one. The Magnetic Men featuring Magneto. Well, the last book was Magneto and the Magnetic Men. Why don't we just have the Magnetic Men featuring Magneto? Showdown with the Sinister Society. Here's one that I really enjoy, and that's Spider-Boy Team Up, which features Legion 2099. So they took the concept. That's pretty cool. I like that one.
Yeah, I've never seen that one.
That one's really cool because it then matched up the Legion of Superheroes, but it also matched up 2099 universe. But since Superboy was part of the Legion of Superheroes, why not let's take Super Spider-Boy and make him part of the Legion? So I thought there was a lot of clever nods there. And another one that I personally like, Dorian and the new Asgards. Yes, they're called the Asgards.
That one slipped past editorial. They at least covered it with his head.
They covered it.
They got smart at the end and they're like, "Oh my god, who approved this?" And they're like, "We gotta change around this cover, guys. We gotta cover that."
Oh man! But it features artwork from.
Where's Cliff when you need him?
Oh my god! Well, he'll hate this book because it features the art of John Romita Jr., which he did a great job. I personally liked it. So, oh my goodness, it's so good. All right, now let's go to what I think is probably the best one of the bunch, and that's JLA Avengers #1. This book came out in 2003 for DC Marvel. High sale of this book is $145 at 9.8. That was in March of 2022. Last sale of this book was $8 near mint. Book goes about $12 near mint. Graded books go for about $34 at 9.8, which I think is totally undervalued. This is the much awaited multi-company crossover event originally planned in 1982 that has finally been realized with George Perez, the original artist attached to the first project as the penciler. He also has Kurt Busiek, who's doing the writing for it. It features the appearances of every Avenger and JLA member up to that time. This was the dream project that everyone was clamoring for. We wanted it. We were begging for it. They were doing it, and then they couldn't agree with terms, and then they finally said, let's do it. This story to me is epic.
Yeah. Finally had the right combination of you've got the heroes, you've got the right people doing it. This is the idea of the best companies, artists, storytellers. This book is great. This series is awesome.
Every single book has phenomenal art by George Perez. They're posters. You know what I mean? They're posters that everyone wants. Issue #1, but issue #4, man. That cover featuring Superman holding Mjolnir and Captain Sheard. Captain Shield. 9.9 went for $400. I think that's very undervalued. For 9.9. This was in March of 2018. Last sale, this book was $24 near mint. That's pretty much where the fair market value of this book is. You could grab a 9.8 for about $94. This is just pure iconic.
Yeah. That cover does what comic book covers should do, is you want to read that book when you see the cover.
Yeah. Now, keep in mind that the prices of these books is fairly low, and that's because they were mass produced. With crossover events like this, they're bound to be mass produced because everybody wants them, right? So you fulfill those needs. That's why I'm so excited to see what's going to come soon. I already saw an image of Dark Claw, so we're getting Dark Claw back. So I saw an image of Dark Claw. I'm super stoked. I can't wait to see what their actual plan is and really how they're going to take it. Are they going to give us the best writers? Are they going to give us the best artists? Like, I want to see Dan Mora doing some of this stuff. I want to see Jorge Jimenez doing some of this stuff. Yeah. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see this up-and-comer artist that, unfortunately, is not as good as all these other guys. I want to see the best of the best on these books.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this. I'm going to put you on the spot. DC Marvel crossover that we haven't really seen yet. What do you want to see?
That's the hard part, because Avengers Justice League we haven't really seen yet. Even though I didn't touch on it, there is a book where Deadpool actually gets to meet Deathstroke.
Yeah.
Which is, it does exist. I didn't cover it, but it does exist. I want us to be able to see something like that. I want to see something where with the X-Men, right? Maybe a new X-Men Teen Titans, but I want to see it drawn by Jim Lee.
Yeah.
That's what I want to
see. Deadpool and She-Hulk. That would be interesting to me.
Or Deadpool and Lobo.
Yeah. Any of the, I was thinking more She-Hulk because of the whole fourth wall thing. They're both kind of known to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Deadpool and
Lobo. Deadpool and She-Hulk are in the same universe. I just caught you. They're both Marvel.
Oh yes, yeah.
So it actually already happened. Now I'm thinking about it. You caught me there for a second.
Yeah.
Now I'm losing all my viewers. They're all gone. It's over. No, but Deadpool, Deathstroke, or Deadpool Lobo. I think Deadpool Lobo is probably more in tune to what you were saying.
Let's frame it up as a Deadpool and She-Hulk with two other DC characters.
Yeah, Deadpool and She-Hulk with two other DC characters. Well, we'll throw in Lobo, but I don't know. I don't know of any other comedic characters in the DC universe that you could throw like that.
Yeah, that'd be a tough one.
It'll be hard, So I don't know how to do it, but this book is awesome to me. I love this book. I can't, I'll go back and read it. It's just so great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there you have it. There's a creator spotlight. I hope you enjoy us looking back at some DC Marvel crossover events. Some were official, some weren't. They were all fun to talk about. And I think this is a video that you definitely should like. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed before. Let me know in the comments which crossover event you enjoyed. Also, let me know what crossover event you would like to see happen. I'm really interested in seeing that. I'm also doing what's called a CPI over at Go Collect with all these books in there. So that's currently being made right now, and I'm going to showcase that to you guys once I'll tell you next week if it's up and running. But thanks for watching for this one. This was a fun one, Shane. This was absolutely a fun one. Next week, we're going to go back to our traditional creator spotlight. And I do know who is it going to be, but I'll let you guys vote on it. So make sure you go vote in the poll for it right now. Woo-hoo! That one was great, man. That was absolutely great.
So I want to see
Avengers
Scotty. League Dark.
How about Darkhold and the Dark Avengers?
Like the Demon Constantine, those guys with the counterparts from Marvel, like Ghost Rider, Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch, all those kind of magic hell related demon type characters. That would be cool.
How about Spider-Man 2099 and Batman Beyond?
Yeah, that's another good one.
Right? Why not? That'd be a good one. I like that. I like the idea of that. How about the Eternals and the New Gods?
Yeah.
Jack Kirby goodness?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we'll do that for another time. If we ever do a DC Marvel crossover event, I'm sure we're going to be talking about them again because it's time to talk about New Comic Book Day.
Yes.
We got some new comic books lined up for this week. So let's go ahead and roll up the footage.
Yeah. Yeah.
This week's new comic book releases. We talked about Red Hulk when we talked about trending comics, but the Red Hulk has a new book lined up for this week. How excited are you for this week's comic books?
I'm always excited for New Comic Book Day. Always. Like every one of them. And this one, I'm actually going to read this one. I'm not the biggest Red Hulk person, but I will pick up the first issue just to see what it's all about.
Yeah, I'm interested in it. It's also within the Doom universe, so we'll talk a little bit more about it when we get to it. So let's go ahead and take a look at the previously fresh. So this is the top voted comics according to the League of Comic Geeks. Number 1 was Ultimate Wolverine number 2 with 24%, which came out last week. Second was New Gods with 15%. Zatanna number 1, her new series came out with 11%. Aliens versus Avengers, the next chapter came out, and Batman and Robin Year 1 came in 4th place. Did you get a chance to read any of these?
Yeah, I've read all of them except for the Batman and Robin. I probably actually would have put Aliens versus Avengers in the number 1 spot myself. I thought it was excellent.
Yeah. Well, I think with Ultimate Wolverine, it's just a big book. I didn't get a chance to read it. I have my copy. I've been meaning to read it. Super excited about it. I like issue 1 a lot. Same thing with New Gods. I really enjoy New Gods, what I've read so far. So those are 2 books that I have waiting for me to read. It takes me a while to read books. Sometimes it takes me a really long time to read books, and I just kind of like read them in arcs sometimes because of my time. But last time I was like quick to read Ultimate Wolverine. So I want to get to this one too very soon.
Yeah, it was good. It was a really good read. I think you'll like it. Same with New Gods. I enjoyed it as well. And that acetate cover is amazing in person.
Yeah.
Zatanna, it was great too. I liked it.
Good artwork in Zatanna with Jamal Campbell.
Yeah, it was good. But Alien versus Avengers, I mean, you got Rubik, you got the writing. It ends on a really great kind of cliffhanger, if you will, or death that you didn't really see coming. It just was a really good book.
Awesome. All right, let's take a look at our breakdowns, our rundown. Fresh off the shelf, these are the amount of books that came out as well as the variants. So we have a total of 90 books scheduled to be released this week. That's according to cover price. Among that, you have 264 variants. Lots of variants.
Your store is not going to have all of those.
They probably won't have all 90 either, because that's also part of the indie books as well. There's 14 new number 1s scheduled. With those, there'll be 93 variants for those number 1s. As far as potential keys goes, as of right now, there's 6 keys that have been accounted for with only 1 first appearance. However, that number is going to change. I just got word that there's a couple of more first appearances, so there's more like 4 first appearances, and now there's more like 10 keys. But I got that information a little later on in the day, so I never chose to update it because, again, by updating, it's not worth it. Publisher breakdown. There are 20 titles from Marvel Comics. Among them, you have 62 variants. DC Comics has 15 comics with 41 variants. Okay. Works out that way. If we look at Image has 10 new titles with 11 variants. Boom has 3 titles with 9 variants. IDW has 6 titles with 15 variants. You ready? You ready, Shane? 4
Dynamite.
for Dynamite with 87 variants.
Oh, man.
Dark Horse Comics has 7 titles with 4 variants. As far as the remaining indie comics, you have 25 other titles with 35 variants. Man, Dynamite, chill out with the variants, guys.
I know. It's crazy.
Let's take a look at our keys for the week. Starting with Red Hulk #1. This book is coming out from Marvel Comics. It's the introduction of the Think Tank. It's also a One World Under Doom event tie-in. Features Machine Man and Deathlock. I'm looking forward to it. I like the Jeff Shaw cover, which is cover A. Also, the one in the middle is Adam Kubert. There's also a John Romita Jr. cover. There's a trade dress one, which is, I think, cover price. But there is also a 1 in 100. I really am digging that cover, though.
Yeah, this should be good. The thing that's got me kind of interested in is there's a bunch of them all imprisoned by Doom.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what kind of starts this whole story going, is they decide they have to do something. That's where the think tank comes from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So be on the lookout for this book. There's some other covers. I'm gonna talk about one little later. So we'll get to that one later. I'm not gonna talk about it just yet. Over at DC, you got Absolute Wonder Woman #5. You got the Hayden Sherman cover A. The Mike Perkins 1 in 25 is a really nice cover. There's also a 150 Homar cover, which I like as well. A cosmic threat encroaches on Gateway City. This is really the penultimate story of the last issue, issue 6, which is the final arc. The first arc is going to be ending there. I'm a little behind on Wonder Woman as well. I'm on like issue 3 right now, and I've been loving it. I think it's one of my favorite books.
Oh, this run now is at the top for me for the Absolute books. These covers, hopefully there's a couple other variants. None of these ones are really up to where the other ones have been.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that issue 6, the main cover A for it by Sherman is amazing. Mm-hmm. It's really good. But yeah, this book is such a good read right now. The art inside is top. The story is good. Everything you want in a book for sure.
Awesome. All right, let's take a look at our next book here. Ultimate Spider-Man #14. We got the continuation of the Craven story. There's a lot of stuff going on in this book. You got the Mark Tichetto cover A. Geraldo Sandoval does a phenomenal job with that cover. I love the yellow background. I like how the trade dress is like smaller in that one. Then you have the 1 in 25 Carmen Carnito cover, which I guess is the Valentine's Day cover, which is cute, nice and beautiful. Spider-Man versus Craven. It continues. Mm-hmm.
This is my favorite book that comes out every month. This is the one I go to. It's got everything I like about Spider-Man in it. I know things are coming that are not going to be good, but I still love it anyway. And not good in a way of it's going to drive the story forward. Mm-hmm. This is definitely going to be your first full appearance of Black Cat in this one. And so you might want to watch out for that. There's going to be a lot of good stuff. This book is, some people were complaining that there wasn't a whole lot happening. Where's Spider-Man? Mm-hmm. And it's ratcheted up. Each book gets better and better and better.
Mm-hmm. All right. Our next book here is Detective Comics 1094. This is definitely a key book. It's going to feature Asima's identity will be revealed. You have the Miguel Jani cover. That's cover A. The Bruno Redondo cover is gorgeous. Also, you have the Dustin Ewing Hush cover, which I think is really cool as well. There's another one that we're going to talk about later as well. But have you been reading Detective Comics?
Detective Comics is amazing right now. I think a lot of people are kind of missing it. It's always been considered kind of not the top-notch Batman book, but it is such a good read right now. They're doing a really good job in the story. I love the art. This is another book where DC's really firing on all cylinders. They've got great creative team and great story and all that stuff. I just love it. Yeah, this is a good book.
Stuff. And we have Helverine number 3. You have the Kendrick Lim cover. Also, there's a beautiful 1 in 25 David Mack cover. And Dave, a watcher, also provides us with a cover. It's the Spirit of the Past, Wreck Vengeance. Akira confronts the spirit of the dead at his birthplace in Japan. But what does Baradagu want with them? And how is the demon linked to Mephisto? Helverine is caught between two worlds, and only the combined will of Akira and Baradagu will cut through the hellspawn in their way.
This has been good too. I've been reading this. I'm hoping that it does a little bit more with the characters and kind of than it has been. But I love that Dave Watcher cover. I think it looks really good. My store has that one. I'll probably pick it up. Yeah. Love the character. Just I want to see some more stuff happen. Hopefully it does with this issue.
Yeah. And I was talking about the David Mack cover. Just looking at it, to me it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. Great use of colors and tones and just how he puts the picture together. So yeah, that's a great one. It's 1 in 25, of course, so it's going to be a little more pricey.
Yeah.
But really good covers for Helverine. Superman 23. This one, you got cover A done by Dan Mora, which features a new looking Doomsday, which I don't like it. I'll tell you, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't like it. You also have the Nathan Zersey cover with Superwoman. That's beautiful. Dan Pinozzi has been killing it with his covers with traditional Doomsday. I love how Superman is like his hand is just out there, like, oh no, yeah. I'll beat you up today. Superwoman is lost in time as the Man of Steel battles for his life of his deadliest adversary, Doomsday. Superwoman travels across time and space to unlock the secret of the Time Trapper. Find out in this essential chapter of the many deaths of Doomsday Saga.
This has been really good too. I'm not a huge Superman person. I always seem to get like the first 20, 30 issues, but they've really kept the story going in this. The art has been good inside. This story arc is really cool. I'm really liking the whole interplay of like Doomsday kind of currently and future Doomsday. So, and that Zerdy cover I'm in.
Yeah, it's a great Zerdy cover. What's your thoughts on that Doomsday? The one in cover A.
So that's the Doomsday from the future.
Okay.
So he's the one that's trying to help Superman keep current Doomsday from destroying everything. And there's a twist, of course, because does he trust him or doesn't he trust him? Yeah. So it's interesting.
All right. Thanks for sharing. All right. Let's take a look at our next book. Pop Kill number 1. This is going to be an indie key. You got the Dave Johnson cover. You have the 1 in 10 Amanda Conda cover. And the Bill Stenfree cover, which is considered the explicit variant. That might be a spec book for next week. So imagine a world where the two dominant and competing cola companies, each worth billions, are owned by former Siamese twins who are now separated and have grown to hate each other so much that they hire assassins, saboteurs, and espionage personnel to meddle with each other on a daily basis. Now, this is not the first time we get Pop Kill, but these covers are probably going to be demanding major money if they are what I think they are.
So here's my prediction, Izzy. This book is caught in that gray area that we've talked about in the real world of the Diamond problem and distribution. So my store is not getting this book because they ordered it from Diamond.
Yeah.
Diamond fell through. The Time in between, it went off of FOC and they couldn't order it from other distributors. So now people are going to be buying this book and there's going to be more demand for it. So personally, if I went into a store and I saw these covers, knowing this, I would buy one of all of them, especially the Steel Freeze one and the Penosian one that we're going to get to later. I'm going to be hunting tomorrow, calling all the stores around me to see if any of them have this book, because I just think that it's in that gray area, and some stores are going to have it and others aren't. And it's the right combination of cool covers and kind of buzz. So watch out.
There's definitely a buzz for this book. And it's gonna be one of those books that I think we're gonna see in a top 10 list. It's just guaranteed to me it's gonna be in the top 10, especially the one by Bill Stinfreeze. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gotta say what's up to Mark from Legion of Comics. What's up? Still up? Yeah. Enjoy the evening with the family, man. Definitely. I honestly think because of that, and that Dave Johnson cover is a really great cover as well. But I think there is a lot of buzz with this book, especially if you remember the other one, which features the Adam Hughes cover. If you remember the Adam Hughes cover, I think this is the same thing. It's kind of, I want to say it's a sequel in some way. I'm not 100% certain how it works with this book, but I do know there is a relationship with the two books. Who knows, man? Let's see how this book, if you guys are in the shop and you see it, I suggest pick it up. You never know with this one. This is a spec pick. Right? Another one, I had to pick it because of the hype right now. And that's Knights number 13. This is considered a perfect jumping on point for new readers. Following the events of last season's finale, we turn to the clock back to 1970s when rookie Chimera agent Tsugumiya investigates and rises of danger, magical oddities and artifacts from blistering cold to Estonesia to the boiling decadence of Las Vegas. This journey will lead him on a collision course with a vampire girl that will have ripple effects across decades. Before we move forward, we have to go back. A dark path lies ahead. Welcome to season 2. So there's only one book. There's no variants for this book for Image Comics. Now, I suggest picking this one up just to see what all the hype is for Knights. So if this is a jumping on point, it's a good top opportunity to pick this book up. Is it worth a read? I can't tell you.
Yeah, I'll look at the inside and see kind of what it looks like and decide from there. But knowing that it's kind of the start of a new arc, I would give it a try if that's the case.
Yeah. So there you have it. Those are your indie kicks. Let's take a look at our eye-catching variant, starting with Batman: The Long Halloween, the last Halloween. This is one of Tim Sale's final pieces.
Great cover. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's gone too soon, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yep. There's also a Rob Liefeld cover featuring Batman and a Joker with way too many teeth.
I love how the teeth cut out are almost like a bat in the back, like the pumpkin.
Yeah. I don't know what to think about the teeth.
It's a lot.
Yeah, no, not even the Joker should have that many teeth. But it's a Rob Liefeld. It's a rare Rob Liefeld on Batman. So this could be a book that people will pick up just because it's Rob Liefeld. You don't get to see Rob Liefeld do Batman a lot.
Nope, that's for sure. Maybe now that he's not with Marvel, he might be.
Oh man, that's great. He wants to fire Kevin Feige.
Yeah, I know. I saw that.
Oh gosh. Black Canary, Best of the Best, number 4. This is the 1 in 25 Kendrick Konkaka. What Nuka? I don't even know how to say it. Lim. That's a cool cover. At first, I thought it was a DNA cover when you showed it to me, and I was like, "Oh no, it's not DNA. It's Kendrick Lim."
Yeah, that's a good cover. That's probably it's a tough call. That first one, the Tim Sale one, it's just got so much like character and atmosphere to it. It's great.
And notice the teeth too there.
Yes.
But they don't look as bad as Rob's teeth. All right, let's take a look at our next books, and that's Ultimate Spider-Man 14. This is the retailer exclusive of John Jang Spider-Man. Ultimate X-Men number 12, Jim Mafu. I love that cover. For some reason, I love the black. And Jim Mafu is one of those artists that I absolutely love his style. X-Men 12, this is the 1 in 100 Nimit Malavia. There is also a trade dress of it. So if you want that one, you could definitely pick it up. But it's a phenomenal cover featuring Phoenix.
How many people are going to order 100 copies of X-Men 12? Like, that's going to be a not high print book right there.
Yeah, quite possibly. It is a open order book. So I'm curious to see about how this one excels because it is a great cover. Then we have David Nakayama with Harley Quinn 48. This is such a cute cover. I'm going to go to the next one. Detective Comics 1094. The 1 in 25 Juan Ferreira. I didn't mention Detective Comics, but my gosh, that is such a good picture.
This is one I'm going to be hopefully messaging to see if my store qualified for. I don't think they order enough Detective to get 25.
Yeah. This should be like a DVH pick.
Yeah, this is such a great cover.
Right? Okay. Now let's talk about the one in the middle. Red Hulk number 1. There's a 1 in 100 Frank Miller version. There's actually an open order one as well. Is it the same picture that we've seen multiple times now?
Same, exactly.
Yeah, let's move on.
Yeah.
Here's another book that I think is worth picking up for the same reasons we talked about pop art. Department of Truth 28, the Comic Corner Chamber of Chills homage. So you have to go to the Comic Corner to get this one. This is the Dale Alterman cover. I think that is such a great looking cover.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Mm-hmm. And then you have Godzilla versus America, Chicago number 1. This is the 1 in 50 Chris Birmingham cover. Imagine you're playing stickball and Godzilla is just looking at you play stickball.
Is he holding trains or is he holding a sausage?
Well, it is Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Speaking of holding something, let's take a look at the Hello Darkness number 8 by Jenny Frison. Creepy.
Those covers have been great. She's been spot on those. The story inside, I don't really know what's going on, but I bought the last, I think, 3 issues because of her covers. They've just been amazing.
Well, the last cover was definitely a spec book. Everybody picked that book up.
Yeah, that was a good cover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if I believe this is our last one here, Jim Henson's Labyrinth number 6 this is the 1 in 25 Razak cover. Such a gorgeous David Bowie cover. I love it. I think it's beautiful. There's also a Pop Kill number 1 Dan Panosian cover, which is another one that I think people should be looking out for. And
yeah, like that's a classic. It's like a movie poster cover. I love it.
Yeah.
It looks great.
And here's one that really stood out to me when I saw it, and that's Chilling Adventures presents The 9 Lives of Salem number 1. This is a Robert Hack cover. This is an Archie comic.
I love that cover, but I'm very curious to see what the inside looks like.
Mm-hmm. Imagine it just looked like the same art as Archie's.
Yeah.
All right, so there you have it. Those are your books for this week. There's some fun books, man. I have to admit, there's definitely some fun books for this week. Okay. That eyeball needs more detail. It really does. So it's not DVH approved. This is where we have to go with DVH. DVH, tell me which is the book that we need to pick up.
Yeah, this is the time. The inside scoop.
All right. If you like what you see, make sure you hit that thumbs up, like, share, subscribe. You guys know the deal. Let me know in the comments which books you're planning to pick up for New Comic Book Day. I would love to hear what they are. I would like to hear why you picked them as well. And let me know which books you think I should pick up. Shane, 2 hours and 30 minutes. What do you think? Not bad. We haven't hit the 9 o'clock hour, and I probably eat dinner in a decent time.
Yeah, I think it's honing in now. It's good.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's honing. Yeah, maybe. Then we'll do some crazy one there soon, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm digging the Department of Truth and Pop Kill. Of course, I knew you would. Yeah, but the Department of Truth is not. It's a retailer exclusive, so you won't. I won't be able to pick that up in time to get the win. You know what I mean?
I'm going to be searching high and low for that pop kills tomorrow.
It's gonna be all over the place. Talk. You're gonna have pop kills. You're gonna have pop kills. You're gonna have pop kills. You're like, no. You know what they're gonna tell you? They're gonna look at you. They're gonna say this:
Skeletor to King Randor. Skeletor to King Randor. Come in, you royal boob.
Guys, be on the lookout. We're gonna be dropping some more videos here, but coming next week, we're doing it again. We're gonna have the monthly show, monthly comic book breakdown, March 7th. That's gonna be Friday, where we go over the monthly reports. We're gonna take a look at the top slabs. We're gonna be looking at the high sales. Last time we did it, we had a blast. If you haven't seen the videos, there's some books there, and I already seen some of the books that are coming up. I haven't seen the top 10 just yet because we got to wait to a couple of days to get the list. So I have to pick up the list on March 1st for that one. We'll also talk about the highest sales of the month of February. So that list usually comes in around the 4th or the 5th, something like that. So hopefully by March 7th, we'll have that list for you. So got that going on, man. It was a fun show, man. I especially like the crossover, the Marvel DC crossover.
Oh yeah, it's so much fun.
That was pretty good. Shane, let the world know where they can find you.
I'm on the YouTube here, and I'm on Instagram. Give me a follow on those. That would be great. I'm doing YouTube comic book things. I do new videos every Wednesday of all the new books, looking inside them, checking them out. And I do Slab Show. I've got lots of stuff going on. At this point, I think everybody knows where to check me out.
Yep. Be on the lookout for some more content this week. If you missed out, we'll be doing the replays throughout the duration of the week. I also am planning to throw up some other videos this week. Hopefully, I'll be able to get some out there by Friday. Usually, Friday is the day I put the videos out that I normally don't put throughout the week. So be on the lookout for that. Until then, guys, you know the deal. Thank you for watching. And you know how we always end this show. We always end it the same way.
I think this is it. I think you're about to go home. Okay. All right. Thank you.
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 Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I never said thank you. And you'll never have to.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I guess I'll see you.